What, you need claustrophobic?
Just curious.
What you say?
Or my office style.
But you can be. Oh, you mean with the tour?
Yeah.
You're about halfway. It goes pretty fast after the galley, and that's next.
Okay.
You can't go faster after the galley.
Imagine living on here for
No.
8 months.
No.
That'd be a long time. It would just be a matter.
There's a hatch I was just up in.
Really? I mean, the range is 11,000 miles. If you consider it's
There's a saltwater
5,000.
depth right there.
Okay, I lied. A lot of the times it's
And
longer,
the
but
food and gas won't last a couple months.
it's only a couple of weeks.
Yeah. You can go back to Hawaii.
And Midway's a refuel point
Yeah,
too.
Midway too, yeah.
Refueling doesn't mark the end of the patrol.
Really, the only thing that marks the end of your patrol is running out of torpedoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or food.
Torpedoes.
Food's kind of a big deal.
I mean, there's worse.
So would
things
you have been a
than
skipper?
end of patrol.
You what?
Would you have been a skipper?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, cool.
Most of your skippers were lieutenant commanders. When they would receive their, promotion to commander, they were usually on their way out. In the 1940s, this was kind of a dead-end job. When you got into the submarine service, nobody really knew what to do with you after that. And so a lot of guys take administrative jobs after that. Because, you can't really have many commanders or above commanding a submarine. So a lot of them go into desk jobs after that. Which is kind of almost unfortunate because a lot of your absolute best skippers get promoted pretty quick. So it's, of course, but what they do is they end up writing a lot of the doctrines. When we went into the war, we didn't know how to use submarines. We were using them, you'll notice they're called fleet subs. The idea was these were a scouting element, kind of like the cavalry is for the Army. And they would go out and scout ahead targets, but they realized that when they just turned these guys loose, they could actually inflict a lot of damage. And what most people don't realize is the war in the Pacific, about 80 to 85% of the tonnage, the enemy ships that were sunk in the Pacific theater, were actually sunk by less than 10% of the United States Navy. It was sunk by the submarine fleet.
It was the same way, but reverse in the Atlantic with the Germans. When they started attacking civilian ships and cutting off supply lines, that's what really crippled the British's ability to fight back.
So what would your function have been?
Well, on here, these are the dive planes. So this would have controlled the vertical angle when you're diving or surfacing. Then right over there is going to be the levers that you can use to flood the ballast tanks to sink, and then right behind you we have the valves that would pump compressed air back into the tanks to resurface.
How many times could you force air back into it before you had to surface?
Well, forcing air back into it is what makes it more buoyant and does surface it. So it depends on how much air, really, rather than how many times you.
Okay.
So you'd really just blow it all at once. You would.
I was thinking
There's
of
some occasions where you
adjusting
can come up
depth
partway, but
underwater.
there's not.
To put it into perspective, your air compressors, which are actually directly below you right now, generate roughly 2,000 psi, 2,500 psi, and that's stored in those flasks. So it depends on what you're using, because the reducer panel, the manifold right there, actually reduces that down from 2,500 psi all the way down to 8 psi is your lowest. And so depending on what you're using it for is how many times you can use it for that system. So you've got different uses. Starting your engines, your starter is compressed air. You use compressed air for a whole lot of stuff. So you don't want to use it all. You always want to keep a little bit there. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, very interesting. Very interesting. All right. Thank you very much.
The officer would say, turn the boat to a certain degrees. Turn the wheel until
I'm sorry being so close, but this is just really close quarters. in here. I'll get ready to go through another door here. Oh, look at here. This is the radio. This looks like communications room in here. I'm going to try to work my way in here. Yeah, this would have been the communications room. In here, I got to back out.
Just a minute. I gotta let this fella through.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I got a sailor coming through.
this is the communications room, I would imagine. Speech, that says speech, input. This is just really tight in here. Okay, we're going to try to back our way out now. Yeah, radio room, that's what it says. Okay. Okay, this gentleman here is fixing. Looks like the meal for the crew. Looks very good too. Smells very good too.
Ham tonight is going to be apricot glazed ham.
Wow.
Scalloped potatoes, seasoned green beans, and a beach cobbler.
That sounds really good. All we gotta do is enlist, right?
That's right.
Look at that bread. Look at that. Isn't that cool?
Lunch.
Oh, we got a sailor getting lunch.
2 bowls, too. You want soup and a salad?
These are the cooks, of course. They're fixing a meal.
They're on top of ice
For
cream.
lunch, we got navy bean soup, ham salad, and side salad with homemade croutons and strawberry jelly.
That is so cool. Yep. Wow. These are the cooks, like I said, and they are dishing up the meals for the sailors.
You need to come up with 16 bowls.
You want to get 16?
This, of course, is the galley.
Preferably 16, if you want to be exact.
And this is
Here you go. The menu we're serving today. I actually found it on an original menu list.
really
Yeah,
cool.
So, because they had to make up their entire menu for a week and then publish it.
Wow. I don't know if y'all got that or not, but this actually menus come off the Real Submarine menu list that they're preparing today. This looks like where they would have played table games or something while they were waiting, maybe.
you're talking to the nice lady, but you have to wait.
I'm back.
You're back.
I'm back.
There's a sink and there's
really sorry.
cups and saucers and plates, and this is the galley area. This is where they.
Running is like everything I've ever had.
And this is real food, folks. This is not pretend. This is not fake. This is real food that they're serving up for these sailors
Wait, do you do track?
and people on the submarine.
We had a group of about 15 last year that come through and they
I would do baseball, but our school doesn't allow girl baseball players.
Yeah, I know.
Grandfather, great grandfather used to get stuff like
You
this.
should attend Granby. Granby, Missouri.
It's near Neosho.
It's like 10.
And would you have been like a Rosie Riveter?
Yep.
Okay, this would have been like the Rosie Riveter.
Yes. I represent one of hundreds of thousands of women that entered into the workforce during the 1940s. We are the ones that built this boat, so up there at Portsmouth. So lots of women taking on welding positions, riveting positions, painting, and cleaning, and polishing, and getting the boat ready to go. So,
Can you do that?
absolutely.
All right. Lots of muscle there.
Lots of muscle.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Look at all those weapons back there. They got it.
You're welcome to come back and take pictures if you want.
Thank you. Just looking at your. Boy, howdy. Yeah, like I said, this is the real deal, folks. This is real food for the sailors.
Let me get out of the way.
Oh, yeah, we got to get out of the way here. Okay. Okay. That Rosie River was kind of cool. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that, but like she said, when the men all went to war, they had to take their place. So they had to become the mechanics, the shipbuilders, and that's what Rosie Riveter was. For those of you that may not know that, younger folks may not realize there was such a thing, but they were called, got that name. There was actually Rosie Riveter. There was an actual woman named Rosie, and she was a real worker that helped build, maybe built the ships in some aspect or another. But yeah, this is the real deal. Although this is not, it's just a like a museum now, but this was an actual working World War II sub.
Yes. Okay.
And I thought the uniform or the...
Did you guys hear my spiel about the Army nurses?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so I represent the U.S. Army Medical Department, Army Nurse Corps, and Navy Nurse Corps. They were some of the very first POWs in the Pacific Theater of Operations. They were held at Bataan and Corregidor. When it fell, there were over 500 Army and Navy nurses left behind. That means while they were at Santo Tomas and still at Corregidor, they rendered aid to Japanese prisoners, American prisoners, to the Japanese Imperial Army, and to their fellow prisoners. Nurses were not commonplace on subs. However, there are numerous accounts of nurses being picked up in the Pacific, being taken back to hospital ships and normal ships for regular duties by submarines. When that would happen, they would give them the officers' quarters and usually stick 3 to 4 to a room. Think Operation Petticoat. Usually they weren't on the submarines due to the fact such close proximity, and they did not want certain situations to arise that they did not want to take care of. Oh, Mrs. The head behind you is what is commonly known as the head or the bathroom. Please feel free to go in, take a look around. The showers are literally the size of a broom closet. You can barely turn around. The toilets were separate and were in their own tiny little closet. So feel free to look in there. And then as soon as they start moving out, there's no wonder why submarine guys are. Me and one of you, the girls sitting here perfect. We're like running through the portals.
This would be like a shower room area, maybe. I'm gonna try to walk back here and see what we got back here.
And then you have 2 showers in there side by side.
Yeah, that's what this
There's
is.
also a closet to your right.
This would have been a shower area. Okay, I'm gonna.
This is the forward engine room.
Forward engine room. Okay, cool.
Cody will tell you all.
Okay.
Get a little bit of people in here and I'll start telling you all about our engines.
Okay. Look at those engines. Look how they're so finally. Look at all that oil. Of course, they had to be oiled heavily for them to operate correctly.
All right, this is the forward engine compartment. We had 2 engine compartments, forward and aft. This boat is equipped with 4 Fairbank diesel electric motors. These engines do not connect to the prop shaft whatsoever. This boat was driven by electric motors. What we do is at nighttime, when it's the safest time to surface the boat, we'd surface, open our air intakes, open our exhaust manifolds, start the engines, and recharge the batteries. That is the main purpose of these engines. The generator is in front. This is 9-cylinder, 18 pistons, horizontally opposed, so it would come down together like that. Normal operations at nighttime, it would be over 120 degrees in here.
Wow.
They had a mechanic who would run around and nothing but his skivvies because it was so hot in here.
My goodness.
We have a recording of the engines running. That's nothing compared to what they would have been when they were actually running. We'd be using hand signals to tell each other what to do.
Wow.
You can go through the aft engine compartment and they'll go to the maneuvering room and he'll show you how we actually drove the boat and steer.
I don't. loud back there, but that was actually the heart of the sub. That's what made it run. Watch, you just got through. This is the maneuvering room here. And there again, this is very, very tight quarters. You just really have no idea until you're actually walking in these little passageways. But this is the maneuvering room. And that last room we were in, that's what actually powers, that was the heart of the sub, in other words. That's what made it go. And I do apologize for that. But that's part of the sub. That's what it would have, sounded like. And right now we're standing here waiting to go on. But this is the maneuvering room here. And you can tell with all the gauges and all of that.
How you doing?
Just fine.
Come on in.
All right.
How many more people we have back here? 10 more?
Let me get back
Come on
here.
in. Come on. Get everybody in here. Any more? Come on.
Yeah, just.
Okay. This room is the maneuvering room. We call it that because we control the flow of electricity throughout the boat here. So these controls here tell us, these are called teletones. The information is sent. Hello. Sorry. You okay? Oh. You like that, huh? These tell us, officers will tell us know how fast they want the boat to go forward. By adjusting these levers, we can go forward or backwards. These control the screws in the back of the boat. We no longer have screws on the back of this boat because oh. Okay. They have been removed, but normally they would be controlled by these two levers here. So when you move the speed of the boat either forward or back. The rest of these controls here control the flow of electricity throughout the boat. These are control the generators and the batteries here. So the batteries are located under the decks, under the crew's quarters, where you saw the bunks, and the officers' quarters. There's two sets of batteries below the decks. By adjusting these levers, we control that flow to charging the batteries or running the screws behind us. The motors that you saw in front earlier do not drive the boat. The motors you saw in front are just there to drive the generators, which in turn then will charge the batteries. That's what we're doing here, is controlling the flow of electricity. Any questions?
So much training does it take? How long does it take? How many years or whatever does it take?
How long to what?
How long does it take to learn how to do all this?
Oh, I'm not sure exactly. It was dependent upon the crew, how much experience they had beforehand. It wouldn't take years. It was actually a very short time, relatively, because there would be certain people on here who already had trained. They would train new people as they came in.
Oh, okay.
So it was an apprenticeship type program. The older gentlemen would be training as they came in. They would learn.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to go on. Okay, we're actually up in this hatch area. There's a periscope. Right there. That's the periscope. Right there. We didn't get to do this last time we were here. And then over here, what's the stairs? This is the main operations of the ship. Okay, so I gotta go back down again. Hold on.